Hello and welcome to my channel. If you want to, don't hesitate to like and subscribe. Just a fair warning at the beginning, I'm not a native English speaker and this channel is a little pet project of mine to get a better pronunciation. Therefore, if you have any suggestions at all, I'm happy for any comment. Just be a little kind, thanks. Today I want to read to you guys Solo Leveling or Only I Level Up by Ch.1. And I think the translator is Jang Sung-rak. You can find the link to the original story or to the story I'm going to read to you down in the description. We're starting today with the prologue, and on the side I'm reading it, it's called Chapter 1 Prologue. Therefore, it merges from the prologue into the Chapter 1. So, let's go. Daily quest is now available. An articulate voice of a young female. This was definitely not a game. Of course it wasn't a dream either. But her voice definitely resounded within my head. Hell, I could even see the quest window floating in mid-air too. Could it be? Even today? While fervently praying in my head, I cautiously opened the information window. Tiring! Daily quest. Preparation to become strong. Press up. 100 times. Incomplete. 0 out of 100. Sit up. 100 times. Incomplete. 0 out of 100. Squat 100 times. Incomplete. 0 out of 100. Running 10 kilometers. Incomplete. 0 out of 10. Warning: incompletion of daily quests will result in appropriate levels of punishment. As soon as I got to confirm the contents of the daily quest, I began cussing out reflexively. Just how many days has it been already? Part 1. Rank E Hunter. Rank E Hunter Seong Jin-Woo. No matter where he went, this title always followed him around. Jin-Woo's overall strength was almost the same as a regular human being. With the exception of being a bit stronger and his wounds healing slightly faster, Jin-Woo was about the same as regular people in every other aspect. It was par of the course then that he'd always end up getting injured. He nearly died several times too. Of course, it wasn't as if Sang Jin-Woo liked being a hunter. The work was dangerous, others made fun of him, and to confound the matters even further, the pay was pretty pathetic as well. If it weren't for the medical aid paid out by the Hunter Association to the hunters in their payroll, he'd have turned in his hunter license and quit by now, and live his life like a regular person. Unfortunately, someone like Seong Jin-Woo, in his mid-20s and lacking in any tangible job skills, there was no other way but to remain as a hunter if he wanted to pay for his mother's hospital fee of millions of won every month. Should one say that he had no choice in the matter? That was why, even though he didn't want to, he simply had to participate in the raid supervised by the association. Hunters operating within the same area tended to know each other pretty well. In the event of a gate opening up, all the hunters in that district would be asked to come, that's why. The hunters who had arrived early sipped on the cups of coffee handed out by the association's employee and shared cordial greetings with each other.
Oh, hey, Mr. Kim, over here, here.
Oh, Mr. Park, what are you doing here? I thought you were giving up on being a hunter.
Well, my wife is pregnant with our second child.
Is that so?
Yeah, for a hunter to earn big in one go, participating in a raid is the best, isn't it?
Mr. Kim jovially burst out in laughter. Mr. Park followed suit with a sheepish chuckle before asking Kim, "By the way, why do I feel like the association is calling on us less and less nowadays? Did the number of gates decrease or something?"
Of course not. That's only because the guilds are getting all worked up over clearing the gates. It's got nothing to do with the association. I hear that various guilds are jumping in with both feet since there is a big profit involved in this whole thing. Well, in that case, since this raid is being supervised by the association, it should be safe, no?
Mr. Park took a glance around as if he was getting nervous. If a guild was not involved today, that meant there wasn't enough profit to be had. And if there wasn't enough profit to be had, then that could only mean that this particular gate's difficulty would be low. Of course, nothing in this world was 100% absolute. It wasn't just Mr. Park. Other hunters were nervously glancing around as well. I wonder. Mr. Kim finished the rest of his coffee while avoiding answering his friend, before spotting a certain someone and raising his hand in happiness.
Oh, he's here. Hey, Mr. Song! Mr. Song!
Other hunters also displayed joy at discovering that young man. Hello. It was none other than Seong Jin-Woo. Jin-Woo performed a simple nod of the head at the joyous Mr. Kim and walked by. After making sure Jin-Woo was well out of earshot, Mr. Kim began sniggering while confidently speaking up.
So, Jin-Woo showed up, then it's going to be okay today too.
Mr. Park's eyes widened up and he hurriedly asked Kim.
What was that?
Is that hunter Seong Jin-Woo really strong?
Ah, right, of course. You wouldn't know who he is. He's a hunter who started working shortly after you left, you see. However, every hunter here knows who that kid is by now.
He's really that strong? Wait, why is he working for the association then? Why not for a guild or as a freelancer? Kim sniggered some more before narrowing his eyes.
You know what that guy's nickname is?
How should I know? Come on, man, just tell me already.
Humanity's weakest weapon.
Weakest? Not something like the ultimate weapon?
Dude, that's the nickname for the rank S hunter Choi Jong-in. That kid is the weakest weapon. I'm pretty sure he's the weakest hunter in the Republic of Korea.
Really? Park began frowning deeply. Why would other hunters greet this Seong Jin-Woo if he was really that weak? After all, didn't they need someone to trust their backs if things went south? Park couldn't really understand the reaction of the other hunters. When Park's head tilted this way and that, Kim chuckled and poked at the side of Park with his elbow.
The raids Seong Jin-Woo participates in will only have low difficulty because he's so weak. The association would never entrust him with a tough job, don't you get that? They don't want to see him get killed, right?
Only then did Park's expression brighten up.
Right, yeah.
His wife was deeply worried about him since this would be his first raid in quite a while. Honestly, even he himself was worried too. However, now that he listened to Kim's words, he felt like a weight was lifted off his mind. Kim continued on.
That guy, there was a rumor not too long ago that said he got injured participating in a raid of a rank E gate and spent a week in the hospital.
A hunter got injured by a rank E gate?
That's right. No one expected to see a hunter getting injured during a rank E raid, so they didn't even bring along a healer, apparently.
That's why he spent a week in hospital? When Park began guffawing too loudly, Kim hurriedly hushed him.
Stop it, man. Mr. Song might hear you.
I didn't think of that. Park cautiously checked Jin-Woo's reaction as he continued to giggle. Thankfully, the distance was far enough and the youth didn't seem to have heard them. Of course, they were mistaken. I can hear everything, you geezers. A bitter smile formed on Jin-Woo as he tried to ignore them. At times like today, he couldn't help but blame his unusually acute sense of hearing. It seemed that he arrived too early and the raid was yet to commence. Did I arrive too early? Jin-Woo looked around to while away the waiting time, spotted the association employee handing out warm coffee and walked closer. Can I get a cup of coffee as well? Oh, Seong Jin-Woo, Hunter Nim. I'm really sorry, but we ran out of coffee just now. The cold winter breeze brushed past the tip of his nose. Jin-Woo quietly wiped his nose with his index finger. What a sad day it was for the coffee to run out as soon as it was his turn to get one. Why do you persist on being a hunter, Mrs. Seong Jin-Woo? I'm sorry. Jin-Woo lowered his head and apologized. The young beautiful girl using healing magic in front of Jin-Woo, Yi Ju-hui, showed how unhappy she was with a pouting expression. I'm not trying to get you to apologize, you know. I'm only worried about you. If you continue fighting this way, sooner or later you'll be faced with a truly dangerous situation. Jin-Woo glanced past Yi Ju-hui's shoulders and took a look at other hunters fighting over yonder. When one entered through the gate, one would arrive at a place called Dungeon. The rank of this particular dungeon should be around D. A dozen plus hunters were taking care of the monsters inside this dungeon without so much as breaking a sweat.
Unfortunately, for rank E, such a feat was nearly impossible. Normally, the job of healing the injured hunters from the back fell on the healers. Since he always got injured during raids, Jin-Woo was rather well known among the healers. Yi-Ju-Hui cautiously asked him, "Perchance, is there a reason why you can't give up on being a hunter?" Jin-Woo resolutely shook his head. He didn't want to reveal anything personal to other people. "I'm only doing this as a hobby. If I don't do this, I'll probably die of boredom actually." Yi-Ju-Hui pouted even more. "If you continue on with this hobby of yours, soon you'd be raiding a dungeon in the netherworld, you know." Jin-Woo was taken off guard from her remark and ended up chuckling out loudly. Thanks to that, Yi-Ju-Hui's nagging intensified. "Ah! Don't laugh! Don't! Your injuries might get worse." Jin-Woo giggled before asking her, "Where did you even learn to say stuff like that?" "What do you mean, where? It's from Mr. Kim way over there." "Aigo, the Dajosi really went and did it, didn't he?" As they chatted and laughed, his treatment was almost over. It was already too late by then, though. It seemed that the raid was pretty much over now. Jin-Woo's expression hardened. "I only killed a single monster today. A rank E creature, no less." Sang Jin-Woo began fidgeting with the rank E magic crystals in his hand. The lowest grade magic crystal from a rank E monster fetched less than 100,000 won. For something he bet his life to earn, it was a pathetically small amount. A magic crystal from a rank C monster can sell for over 10 million won, though. Too bad a rank E hunter such as himself couldn't even attempt to kill a monster with a rank as high as C. Out of the blue, someone shouted out, Hey! There's another entrance over here!" The nearby hunters rushed over there. "Huh? It's true! There really is another path?" Just as that hunter said, there was an entrance hidden within the dungeon itself. "A dual dungeon, is it? So such a thing actually exists for real?" Mr. Song, possessing over 10 years' experience as a hunter, looked into the hidden entrance and displayed how surprised he was. The interior of the hidden cave-like passage was dark and nothing could be seen. Mr. Song activated his specialty, flame magic, and tossed it further forward into the passage. The flame flew forward and illuminated the interior. The passageways seemed to go on forever. Soon enough, the flame lost its forward momentum, fell to the ground and smoldered a bit before flickering out of existence. The passage was shrouded in darkness once more. Everyone, gather around, let's have a meeting." The unspoken leader of this raid, Mr. Song, called for the other hunters to gather around. Jin-Woo's treatment was over by then, so he and Yi-Ju-Hui also joined in. Song spoke up while sweeping his gaze over the gathered hunters. "As you know very well, a gate will not close until the dungeon's boss is killed. Since the gate itself is still intact, even though we took care of all the monsters here, that can only mean that the boss is beyond that passageway." Song pointed towards the hidden entrance. The hunters exchanged meaningful glances and nodded their heads. No one could disagree with that notion. Song continued on. "Now, normally we're supposed to relay this information back to the association and wait for their decision first, but if we do that, we might end up handing over the task of killing the boss to the other hunters, and our takings for today's raid would decrease by a lot." The expression of the hunters crumpled. Park's face hardened more than anyone else, since he needed a lot of cash for his wife's pregnancy. Postnatal care eats up so much cash nowadays, you know. At this rate, there'd be no meaning behind him risking his life to participate in this raid. "That's why I'd prefer if you took care of the boss before leaving this dungeon. So what do you all think?" The hunters fell into deep contemplation. The truth was, no one here could figure out the current situation, and so their safety could not be guaranteed. However, the difficulty of this particular dungeon proved to be very low, so the hidden dungeon within it couldn't have been that difficult either. Song coughed to draw everyone's attention to himself. "Since we have 17 people here, let's put this to a vote, shall we? Once the decision has been made, no one complains. So, how about it?" The others nodded their heads after hearing Song's suggestion. No one was disagreeing with him. "I vote for going ahead." Song raised his hand. And then other hunters began raising their hands one by one. "Me too." "Count me in as well."
Park was the first to raise his hand, followed shortly after by Kim and a few other hunters. Of course, those disagreeing were plentiful too.
Let's go back.
I feel that it would be better to wait for the association's decision. The two opposing camps were neck and neck, and eventually the final votes came down to Jin-Woo and Yi Ju-hui.
I'm sorry.
Yi Ju-hui bowed to Song and added her vote to the retreat camp. And so the vote count for her go ahead and retreat was at 8-8. A deadlock. Song asked the hesitant Seong Jin-Woo next. And you, Mr. Song? That was it for chapter 1. Thank you guys so much for listening, and if you have any suggestions or constructive criticism, just comment. Bye!